Hi everyone and welcome to ADMI, uh, the webinars for today, which is going to be on animation with Shadrack Munene. Yay! So welcome. Cool. So thank you for joining us today from wherever you're logging into. We really appreciate that you have spent a bit of your time to come in and get to interact with us. So let's have a look at what Shadrack's expertise has been. And then I'm going to tell you a bit more about him and then some ground rules that we'll have for our sessions, and then we'll continue on. Okay, so let's play the video now. Okay, great. So as you can see, it's a couple of the projects that he has been working on, and that's what we'll have the privilege of being able to interact um, with Shadrack to tell us more on how to really get our animation getting up to a certain space. So um, what we'll do So what we will do now, as we join into the session, please ensure that emphasize decorum, and let's all be engaging. We have the chat window at the bottom there, so if you need um, uh, to probably say something, you can raise your hand, and then if you have a question that you'd want to talk about, please post it on the Q&A section, and then we'll be able to respond to them either live, or we'll be give you a response being typed in there. So welcome very much, Shadrack. How are you feeling today?
Feeling good. Thank you. Does that
Shadrack?
sound okay? Yeah, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm feeling quite okay. I'm happy to be here sharing some tips and tricks on 2D animation.
Okay, great. So I will be your host, Danny Smoothie at the back. So I'll be checking it out, watching what everything is happening. And just before I let Shadrack come on board, let me tell you a bit about him and the things that he has been able to do so far. So he is a specialist in visual communication, as you've clearly seen, through animated and illustrated media. And he's also a ToonBoom certified technician. He has built a clientele with both local and global players. So he's really good at what he's done for quite a while. And also uh, he's one of the lecturers here at ADMI, where he teaches drawing and digital illustration and 2D animation, specifically using ToonBoom. So he has a diploma in digital media from the Nairobi Institute of Technology. So, Shadrach, if you're ready, we can start.
Yeah, so today we'll be discussing about what the skills that we need to become a good animator, and then the essentials in the animator's toolkit, and then obviously the important principles of animation and why they are significant. And then after that, we'll do like a question and answer session. So the courses at ADMI that we have two, a diploma and a certificate course. the purpose is to develop the new wave of animators who are proficient with the industry standard tools. So for today, we'll be using ToonBoom Harmony. That's the industry standard for 2D animation, and that's what we'll be using. So we jump right into it. The required skills for being an animator. You need to be creative, obviously, because animation is uh, a fun medium, and you have to be creative to be able to appeal to people's desires and entice them towards something. And then the other thing is to be observative. When you have an observative eye, that means that you're able to be keen and take notice of those small nuances in everyday life, so that you're able to apply those in your animations, and then it makes things a bit more grounded and believable and interesting to watch. The other skill you need is to be expressive, yeah, to be able to um, convey an idea in a way that people will uh, enjoy and appreciate. And then the other important skill is now solid drawing. What does that mean? That means uh, understanding the fundamental skills to be able to draw properly, so that at least your work looks amazing. Because we already have amazing work out there, your work should also be amazing. Right. And onto the toolkits. So there are two categories. There's like the books and then the hardware and software. So with the books, there are four that I can think of. So there's the Animator Survival Kit, plus the accompanying DVDs that it comes with by Richard Williams. That's like the Animator's Bible, what you follow. It has tutorials, it has principles of animation. Like you should always find a way to get that book. It's like mandatory. It's Animator's Bible. And then the other one is The Illusion of Life, Disney Animations by Ollie and Frank Thomas. The other one is Timing for Animation. This one helps with like the technical aspects of animation, just to get the timing of things right. You'll get to understand what timing is as we proceed with this webinar. And then lastly is the animation development from pitch to production. It's a pretty nice book, especially if you're looking to go into um, the actual business of animation. It's a really solid book that you should have. So on to the,
Shadrach,
yes.
there's somebody who has asked, what if I'm starting out? If I'm just a fresh new animator, is that something that I would need to start off with?
Yeah, well, if they're following, this is what we're covering right now. So the those books that you need to read, and it has exercises, especially the animator survival kit and the DVD. So the DVDs has uh, video content that you can follow along with. So if you're learning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there are these books, and then now there's the hardware and software when you're starting out. So you need a drawing tablet. It can be there are many brands out there. There's like Wacom, which are a bit expensive. So if you're starting out, you might want to invest in like a medium size or a large size. I'd prefer a large size because the bigger the surface area for drawing, the more comfortable it is. So if you can get a large sized drawing tablet, even better. But the best option would be a screen drawing tablet, which is what I'm using currently, which you actually get to draw on the screen. So there's no difference with the hand-eye coordination. So, but the downside to that is that they're a bit pricey. So, but if you look at it in the long run, if you're going to be in this animation career for the long haul, then it's an investment you should think about. So the other thing is obviously a decent computer with a graphics card and good RAM. So a decent computer is something that can at least process uh, data quickly. So for animation, you probably be using ToonBoom, After Effects for compositing, maybe Photoshop. So After Effects is notorious for hogging RAM and maybe memory. So that's why you need something decent. I'd recommend an i7 or i5 at least, but the high end i5. with maybe 8 gigs of RAM. Graphics card is mandatory because you're dealing with software that uses video a lot. So a graphics card is um, mandatory. And then obviously I'm a bit biased for this, but ToonBoom Harmony and Storyboard Pro. So ToonBoom software is good for like 2D animation specifically. It's the industry standard. Most of the shows that you watch on TV, especially either on uh, networks like Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, most of them are done in ToonBoom Harmony, and they make storyboards using Storyboard Pro. So if you're thinking about carving a career in the animation industry, you might want to consider learning the industry standard software so that in case you get the chance to work at a studio like this, then uh, you're good to go. So you might wonder, how is the animation process like? So I prepared a video here that demonstrates how the animation process is like. So if you look at the bottom left, you'll see some instructions, which is like the storyboard stage.
Have you brought it? Yeah, Sindui. Brand new iPhone is here. Fresh off the rack, my guy. Awesome. Here's the money. Fantastic. Pleasure doing business with you. Pamoja, brother. Can't wait to flaunt my brand new iPhone. Wait, what's wrong with this logo? This Apple logo has been beaten off on both.
Yeah, so that's the first process for an animation concept, the storyboard. So storyboard is a visual interpretation of the script. So from the script that was provided, it was a commercial about this guy who was duped into buying a fake iPhone. I don't know if that has happened to you. It has happened to me a while back. It's sad. So this was a project close to me. But yeah, so you can create some sketches to sort of block out the main ideas of what you're going to show. And then after that is the visual mood boards. That's the art direction side of things. So a mood board is basically how the animated piece is going to look like. It's like a, how do you call it? The art direction, maybe the design or the look and feel of a show. So it's for me, it's usually the background design first for all the scenes that will be in the animated shot. For example, in this one, you can see how it transformed from like a sketch, which is important, into the colored version of the drawing. And then after that, I usually go into also this is the first draft of the finished version. Okay, and then after that I do the character designs. They're pretty sketchy. This is just what I use to block out, you know, what the characters look like for the show. And then after that, you once everything has been approved, then you go into the first blocking pass. You just
Have you brought it? Yeah, Sindui. Brand new iPhone is here. Fresh off the rack, my guy. Awesome. Here's the money. Fantastic. Pleasure doing business with you. Pamoja, brother. Can't wait to flaunt my brand new iPhone. Wait, what's wrong with this logo? This Apple logo has been beaten off on both sides. Where is this thing original? Wait, Shikani, we are Mwizi.
And then after that, there's a block. I call it blocking path.
Have you brought it? Yeah, Sindui. Brand new iPhone is here. Fresh off the rack, my guy. Awesome. Here's the money. Fantastic. Pleasure doing business with you. Pamoja, brother. Can't wait to flaunt my brand new iPhone. Wait, what's wrong with this logo? This Apple logo has been beaten off on both sides. Where is this thing original? Wait, Shikani, we are Mwizi.
So with blocking plus is more refined and cleaned up. So at least at this stage, is where you can, if it's a client job, you can get to share with the client to see something a bit more close to the finished. And then it's still not yet colored and stuff. So in case there are any changes, it's still easy to make, as opposed to once you've colored everything and it looks nice. And when you get changes, you might feel a bit apprehensive because you've already put in a lot of work. So it's always good to constantly get feedback. while you're working. And then after that, now is the first draft, well, with everything put together and colored and everything. So see how it looks like.
Have you brought it? Yeah, Sindui. Brand new iPhone is here. Fresh off the rack, my guy. Awesome. Here's the money. Fantastic. Pleasure doing business with you. Pamoja, brother. Can't wait to flaunt my brand new iPhone. Wait, what's wrong with this logo? This Apple logo has been beaten off on both sides. Where is this thing original? Wait, Shikani, we are Mwizi.
Yeah, and then now after some feedback and everything, this was a funny concept. I really liked it. So we got ideas to how to improve, how to make it better. It could be sound effects, could be visual effects, anything that will improve the overall look, like the polish stage, maybe.
Have you brought it? Yeah, Sindui. Brand new iPhone is here. Fresh off the rack.
Reduce the audio.
Awesome. Here's the money. Fantastic. Pleasure doing business with you. Pamoja, brother. Can't wait to flaunt my brand new iPhone. Wait, what's wrong with this logo? This Apple logo has been beaten off on both sides. Where is this thing original? Wait, Shikani, we are Mwizi.
Don't let this.
So as you can see now, in the second draft, the background changed from what was originally designed. So this usually happens, but yeah, it's always good to get feedback because we needed to do some motion graphics here, which I cannot really show because of logos and stuff.
Happen to you. Beware of fake, stolen, or pre-activated Apple products. Get your authentic Apple products from established Apple authorized resellers in Kenya. Visit any of these stores or log on to ikenya.co.ke and get it legit.
Yeah, so pretty much if you're starting out, that's ideally the workflow for an animation. This was how I usually go about it. Yeah, so for a good animation, it needs to look good, right? And that means that the drawings needs to look good. So how do you do that? How do you get to the drawing stage? So I had prepared a video, but I think I'll play it on VLC because it's a long video, but I need to just show it very quickly. Then I'll just stop sharing for a second so that I can share the VLC window of the video. VLC is up. Yes. Okay, so screen share. Computer sound, yes. All right, Dennis, just confirm if the video is up. So speed, I'll make it faster. So now we have the Photoshop open. I'm using C. I'll just narrate it myself. This is actually from one of the classes that we had about drawing characters. So the first thing that you do, well, with character design is like there's a sketching stage where you block out the construction of the character. This is where you consider the design and shape language of the character. For you to be able to determine the style, the look of things, you consider the anatomy. It's the blueprint stage of your character design, for example, or anything that you're drawing for that matter. You need to be able to plan ahead as to how they look, how they're going to move. So this is where you're free to edit as you go. And that's why sketches are important. Always do a sketch first because it's the foundation of the drawing. So it can be fast actually. looks better. Right. So there are some principles of design, like solid drawing. As you can see, I'm using shapes because we, as humans, we like to look at shapes and form and patterns. So if your characters are designed using um, the construction is using shapes that we can recognize easily, then it becomes easier for the audience to identify the character, even if it's on a lineup. If it's a scene with like 10, 20 characters, each of them, if they are designed properly, then they will individually stand out. So that's what makes a good character pop up. Use shapes for the design, shape language. And then after that, well, you should also consider anatomy, and that means um, simplifying the muscle groups, looking at your form. Is it okay? Are the proportions? Proportions is also another big thing to consider, because especially with beginning artists, you find that maybe how you're drawing, you're hunched over your drawing. So you're not really looking at the entire canvas. As a result, what happens is that you'll you'll find that you're running out of, if you're drawing on paper, you've run out of space, and so I don't know, the feet suddenly can't fit on the drawing, and as a result, you find that the characters have a big head and small feet. It looks unbalanced and unproportional. So after the sketching stage, now we move on to the cleanup stage, as you can see me doing in this video. This is where you use the sketch as an underlay. You don't have to repeat the mistakes that you did on the sketch. This is where it's a cleanup stage. So you're fixing the mistakes that you had maybe done on the sketch layer. So right now, I'm just polishing that up, making sure the lines are clean. You should draw with your entire arm, like from the shoulder all the way, so that you get nice, clean lines. If you just use your wrist to move, your hand is limited. And so as a result, your lines will be very sketchy, looking like, I don't know, hair or fur or something like that, which is not very professional. If you look at professional work, the lines are always nice and smooth. So that's something you should consider. Right, so after the sketch, okay, I'll just let this play out for a second before we get to the next stage, which is after cleaning up, obviously you need to put some color. So right now I'm using Photoshop because that's what we're using in class. There's so many software out there for drawing, but for now we use Photoshop because with ADMI we offer Adobe certification. So that means we have support from Adobe's and we use Adobe software. So in this case, there's Photoshop. We'll use After Effects for compositing at the end, and maybe Adobe Audition for light sound editing and stuff for animation. Yeah, so after that, get to the coloring stage. So what I usually do is fill the whole layer with like a flat color, and then use that to lock the pixels so that I can color on top. Be careful with your layer so that you don't accidentally draw on the wrong layer. That's why you activate the lock pixel panel at the top. Make sure it looks good. I should also mention sometimes it's a bit challenging to choose the colors, especially, I don't know, with African skin. There's a lot of debate about that. We need to see more African characters, so be conscious about the color of the skin. I've also had another comment where we're supposed to make it look African. I really don't know what that means because we have so much variety and diversity. So it's also something I'm trying to understand. Maybe in the comments, someone could say if you know what that means to you. What is African really? I'd like to know. Yeah. Yeah, and patterns, colors for clothes. So to be able to pick out the right colors, you need to learn about color theory, how colors work, what colors mean, because certain colors convey a certain feeling to the drawing itself or the scene or the composition. You know, like blue colors most of the time can mean either sadness or strength, depending on the context. Red is usually for like intense feelings. It can be either love or hate or a dynamic, short energy, you know. So it depends on the context. Green sometimes can be, I don't know, scary or horror, something like that. Um, you know, so understanding this will also help. So if you're drawing a lovely character like this guy, it looks fun and cute, right? No? Yeah. That's why the colors that I've chosen are warm, like orange. Orange is usually a color. It's chilled out, you know, it's fun and easygoing, just like this character. So the colors that you choose also help to um, tell the viewers what kind of character this is. So if it's a villain, for example, you'll find that they're using like ominous colors, blacks, reds, you know, dull colors maybe because they're in the shadows. They don't like bright colors, right? So that's what color, understanding the color theory does for your drawings. Yeah, so I think by now this character is done, and that's basically what you need to do when drawing characters. So remember to always sketch. Stop sharing for a second. Yeah, so you should sketch. That's the process for drawing. Sketch, look at your construction lines, then understand anatomy, fix everything, then clean up. After the cleanup stage is the color. And after the color, now you can choose to go to animation, which is what we are here for today. So um, let's look at the principles of animation. So there are 12 major principles of animation. Let me just share my screen. Forgot. Don't think it's sharing. Yeah, should be sharing now. Right, so there are 12 principles of animation, like presented on the screen in no particular order, but I've tried to bold out some of the major ones. I hope it's clear from your side. So the first one is squash and stretch, and then there is anticipation, staging, straight ahead action, and pose to pose action. I'll explain that as we go. We have follow through and overlapping action, slow in and slow out, arcs, secondary action, timing, exaggeration. There's so many. So um, I think that it would be best to just explain this as I maybe show an animation so that it makes sense instead of just like explaining by, you know, words. So I think we can just jump into ToonBoom right away. It's active. Stop sharing. I hope you can see my ToonBoom window. Dennis, could you confirm?
Yes, I can see it.
ToonBoom, right? Awesome,
Yeah,
great,
yeah.
awesome. So to demonstrate the principles of animation, which is the main point of this webinar today, is this character of ours, this amazing ball. You'll see why it's important to understand principles of animation just using a ball, because there's so much you can learn from it. So I'll just play it first and then you see if it's something that you've seen online. So what you're seeing now is what maybe a beginner or somebody who's just started animation would probably do when you tell them to animate a bouncing ball. It's bouncing, right? It's moving from top to bottom, up and down movement, right? And this is what you get when you tell the computer to animate for you. It's like it interpolates. You tell it, move this ball from point A to point B, then back. That's exactly what it does. But to the viewer, to, you know, if you tell someone this is supposed to be a ball, we have seen how balls bounce, right? So we know that there's something wrong with this. And that's where the principles of animation come in. So basically they help to make animation more believable. They sell the illusion of life. That's what animation is all about. It's an illusion, caricature of life, right? So how do you improve this ball bounce? So I'll just stop it and then go to another version I did and just try to see if you can see the difference with this one. Something's off. Let me just fix that real quick. Yeah. So I don't know if you can tell if there's a difference. Okay. But then there's this other version of the ball bounce. Then I'll play the two and explain why they're different. So there's that. Dum, 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 dum. Yeah, so suddenly this one feels a bit more alive. I don't know, there's something off about it though. Yeah. Let me see. Sorry about that. I think I was opening the wrong file. Just notice that there are a lot of subtle differences. Just give it a second.
So it is important to have attention to detail, right? Because being able to identify these small two nuances and you're like, this doesn't make sense. This is not right. This needs to change. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And so, oh yeah, this is the updated file. I was wondering something's off. So,
Cool.
so this is what a beginner would probably do: interpolate, move from point A to B, and then it just looks, I don't know, flat, mundane, boring. And then, the same problem again. Let me just extend this keyframe to 24. So then you tell them to go fix it, then they try, and then it doesn't make sense. And then they take a bit more time, and then now it starts to look like, you know, this feels like a ball bounce, right? Dennis, what do you think?
Yes, it does. It does look like a ball bouncing, but it doesn't have much life to it. It's plain.
Exactly. Yeah. So now this is what to separate like the beginners and the professional animators. Now this is where the principles of animation come into play. So as you know, we talked about squash and stretch, which is I think the most important principle of animation. So when something, anything in matter physically, however how it exists, it reacts to forces in the environment. So if it's a ball, it's filled with air inside, right? And if it bounces, it's going to squish, stretch, distort in some way. And that's where the principle of squash and stretch comes into play. So the purpose is to give a sense of weight and flexibility to drawn objects. So but it's also important to know that the volume doesn't change. So that means if it squashes down, then it's going to squash out or stretch on the opposite direction. So the is that volume or mass? I don't know the difference. I think it's mass.
Volume.
Volume, yeah, volume. Sorry, it's not mass. So the volume doesn't change. So what I've seen with like beginner animators that you squash it down, then it remains the same size. So as a result, it feels like that particular object shrunk, which is not realistic.
Mm,
So volume is supposed to be maintained, right? So
yeah.
that's what's important to note about squash and stretch. And then the other, I think, principle that can make this uh, maybe Dennis, you can tell us what else can we do to this ball to make it believable, to sell that this is actually a ball and not just some CG element bouncing up and down.
Mm. Probably work on the timing aspect.
Exactly. Yeah. So timing. If I just look at it for a second and then I play the first one, then you'll notice there's something off. See, that's the first one. If I just leave the first one, it just feels very mechanical, like do 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 do, like a robot, right? So it doesn't
Ping
feel,
pong.
yeah, ping pong, exactly. Actually, that's the word. Thank you, Dennis.
Mm.
uh, so it doesn't feel very believable, right? It just feels off. Um, and so that's where the timing comes into play. Timing is about it's like um, the speed taken of the action. I don't, how do I put this? Um, it's like how long it takes to get to the final destination in a realistic way. So if timing also helps to establish like a mood or reaction, or in this particular case, it conveys the characteristics of the actor or in character, this ball of ours. So characteristics are, it's a ball. What is it made of? Probably leather and has air inside. So how is it going? What are the characteristics of those things? Is it what kind of ball is it? Is it a bowling ball? Meaning it's heavy? Is it a tennis ball? Relatively light, or is it a golf ball with like elastic bands inside with a lot of kinetic energy? So all those different types of balls, they're going to bounce a different way, but in the same amount of time because of what they're made of, the characteristics. So the timing is what helps people to have an idea of how this thing, what type of ball this is. That's what timing is
Mhm.
for. Yeah. So there's timing and also um, maybe also to, in this case, we can't use secondary action because that usually applies to maybe characters most of the time. Uh, Maybe an arc, though I haven't done one with an arc. I don't think, wait, I have a demo with arcs, which I'll play next after this. But um, yeah, so I can just showcase what now application of those basic principles of animation would look like. So this is what we have so far. And then suddenly we change it and it looks like this. Dum, 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 dum. You can even feel it right in your head. Like it feels like, yeah, it has some life into it, right?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah,
does.
so this is what principles of animation do to your animation. Once you understand them, they suddenly make even the simplest of animation, which is making a ball bounce, to be a bit more realistic. And that way your work looks interesting to look at. So I've in this current version that's playing, you can notice there's some squash. Like maybe I can just goes played frame by frame. So it starts from the top and then goes down slowly. You see what's happening to the ball? It has stretched on this frame, but when it stretches, it's stretching downwards, but it's also shrinking because the volume has to be maintained to give that illusion of um, uh, speed because of weight, forces that are actually acting on it. And then as it's going down, it catches up. And then when it hits the floor or surface, it squashes. So it squashes down, but it becomes fat like on the sides. Right? And then because of energy, it shoots up and then stretches again.
Hmm.
And you see, I'm able to show this. I don't know if you notice the line in the middle, it's also deforming based on how the forces are acting on the ball. See, it's
Hmm.
changing. It's stretched more here and then suddenly almost straightens out and then bends a little bit towards the top as it reaches the ball reaches the top. So now when that plays, it looks like this. Dum, 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 dum.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Thank you. So something a tip I can give to those who are watching, you're lacking. I learned this later after practicing so many times, but I'll share with you. Um, you've probably noticed when I play this back, I make a sound effect like tom tom tom, and I also like bob my head to the movement. So when you do that, it helps you with your timing, understanding like how fast the movement should be. You know, so if it's a splash, for example, you do you've already see in your head you've played out how long that action should take. And so
Yeah.
when you animate it, it's going to be perfect. It just feels right because you played it out. So if you're doing a bouncing ball animation, which I encourage you to do that and maybe share on ADMI's social media pages, show us your first animation bouncing ball. That looks realistic. Um,
Hmm.
you can bob your head to the movement, dum, 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 because you get the feeling of how the ball should bounce. Is it a ball with a lot of like energy, like I think a golf ball? It bounces a bit too much because it has like rubber bands inside. There's a lot of kinetic energy when it hits the ground. So just have that motion with your head or your body, your hands, fingers, whatever it is that you want to use, then that will really help with your timing, especially timing. Yeah. So this is some of the effects, but what about? Let me open another file for other principles of animation. Do you have questions, Dennis, so far about?
Mm, the ones that are there, these ones will mostly answer at the end. But most people ask you, do you really have to draw? Um, yeah, most people. I think the largest question is, do people have to draw to be an animator?
Cool. What do you think?
Definitely. So it's in two parts. So whenever you're dealing with 2D animation, there are parts of the process that do not need you to be good at drawing. For example, if you're just purely coloring, um, or laying out characters onto the backgrounds. Those parts you won't need, but then you'll not be able to really animate unless you're using a different kind of technique, which is cutout animation. Then there you don't need to draw, but you will need somebody to draw for you your characters. um, that's one take on it. And then the other take is you just draw. It doesn't matter. There are some that are very refined drawings, and there are others that are not very refined, but it's a style on its own. So um, and then the other thing about being able to draw is that you're able to convey information really fast and very well.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I think that's the key point in that. Because as we mentioned earlier, one of the skills that you need to be an animator is being an effective, um, to be able to communicate, right? To convey ideas, or expressive. That's the word that we use, to be
Mm,
expressive.
yeah,
So now,
expressive.
if you're not able to draw very well, then you might not be able to express your idea. Like you have seen these memes where of this guy, it's usually drawn in a funny. I can't make that face, but you know what I'm talking about. The guy who's laughing. Who that you've seen
Mm,
that meme, right? It's drawn so badly, but it's hilarious. And then there's also the scared one, right? It's drawn in a certain way, so it really expresses that feeling in such a way that when you see it, you can sort of relate to the feeling. But that's only possible if you can express the idea, and that means you should be able to draw. So basically, to be able to become a good animator, you need to draw, especially 2D animation. You need to know how to draw. You just have to learn. And so we actually teach that at ADMI. There are fundamentals of drawing classes where there are some models you draw, learn anatomy. Yeah, so it's doable. Pass by.
mhm,
Awesome. Cool. So this particular example is for sure demonstrating the principle of animation called anticipation. So anticipation, I could say, is it's what we use to prepare the audience for a certain action that's about to happen, and to make that action to be clear and realistic, right? So in this case, uh, I don't know, maybe Dennis, you can tell us like what's going on in this particular. So it's playing. Yeah,
mm.
yeah. So did you notice something that's missing in the beginning?
Mm, hmm. Let's see.
There's one principle that's important that's missing in the
Let's
beginning.
easing in, easing out.
There's in the beginning. So what we're trying to show, we're
Oh,
talking about
anticipation. Uh-huh.
anticipation, right?
Yeah,
So now
anticipation.
suddenly this ball was just there, laying idle on the ground, and then it just shot up like really high, higher than how it was going in the previous example. So for you to be able to do this kind of movement, it just doesn't happen out of the blue. There needs to be a cause and effect kind of reaction, something to anticipate this movement, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so for it to be able to shoot this high up, then there needs to be some sort of opposing force. So what we should have done is maybe from somewhere here is to maybe shrink it down a little
Squash it.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from here, I'll grab the transform tool. And then, so when you're squashing, you should not squash it down like this because it's losing volume. It doesn't make sense, right? Sorry, let me
Mm-hmm.
zoom in. If you squash like this does not look believable. It looks terrible. So don't do that when you're squashing. So what you do is grab from this side, then don't pull straight down, but rather outwards. down and outwards. If it makes
Down and
sense.
out,
That
yeah.
it maintains that sort of volume,
Scale,
and then
yeah.
yeah, and then also focus on the contact position so that it doesn't like either sink into the ground or just float in space. It needs to feel like it has made contact with the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when it's like this, then it goes back up and then it shoots. So that's like a keyframe, but then it's not in it doesn't feel like it's enough energy to compress this ball to make it shoot that high up. So
That
that
high, yeah.
that I need to make this even more compressed like this and even lower straight down like that. So if I look at my onion skin, it's probably something like this. Well, this one should be slightly higher up,
High, yeah.
up to the contact ground, yeah. So that it's down like this. Okay.
Okay, we lost a bit of volume there.
Yep. Yep. So now, without even refining it, if I just play this back, it should make a bit more sense. Hold. Yeah. Now it feels believable.
Mm-hmm.
It's like prepared. It's like and then it jumps. You know,
Mm-hmm.
think about it. If you want to, it's been raining a lot lately, right? And there are maybe puddles because poor roads, etc. So if you come across somewhere there, it once used to be a road, and then suddenly it's a new seasonal river, and you want to jump from one side to the other. What you usually do is, I apologize if this doesn't make sense to people who have cabrio roads. I'm sorry. um,
They have
but,
to jump at some
but
point.
for the rest of us, if you have to jump, you usually either take 2 or 3 steps backwards and to anticipate like how far you're going to jump, right? Did you also play like 3 sticks, the extender game? And
Yeah,
just
yes, I did.
it's the same concept. If you want to jump like a really long distance or a certain distance, you have to move back for you to be able to jump forward. So that's the same concept here.
Almost
Anticipation.
squatting, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's what we basically did. Obviously, because of time, we won't be able to refine this as much, but um, uh, basically, this is how that principle works in animation. So you anticipate an action, and to make it a bit more realistic, right? Think about like a simple head turn. If a character wants to look a certain direction, you don't just turn like this just because you want to turn, right? There's always something that makes somebody maybe turn. It's probably a sound or some other, you're called by another character or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to show that anticipation of turning the head, you have to maybe lead with the eyes first. Like they notice, acknowledge something. It's like anticipate like something's happening here. It could be maybe a shadow that showed on this side, your peripheral vision, and you're like, hey, maybe there's someone here, let me turn, right? So there's always something, you should always have an anticipation for before the action so that it itself, the movement, make it more realistic. Awesome. So then, well, there's so many principles we've been talking about, man. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they're 12.
uh, I don't really have an example I've done yet for the straight ahead and pose to pose. Uh, what's it called? Principle. But well, I can cover it in like maybe the next example. And show how now all these principles apply, because somebody somewhere, I'm sure right now, they're probably thinking, okay, but then that's just a ball. How about characters? I want to animate characters. I don't want to animate balls. But always build up, crawl and then walk, and then run. So there are stages, right? Slowly start with the basics. Once you master the basics, like if that ball that you're animating bounces like an actual ball, different kinds of balls, could be a bowling ball, basketball, they all bounce a bit differently. So observe. Remember those skills we're talking about, observation. Go out
Mm-hmm.
there, either YouTube videos of ball, different kinds of ball bouncing, try it out. And once you're sure that you've understood how to make your animations realistic, now you can apply this information in your characters. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what I have here is a simple ball bounce. I think I'll use this one here. So this is what the beginner animator does: up, down, up, down, right?
Mm-hmm.
By now,
Mechanical.
yeah, it's very mechanical. But if you look at it closely, you'll find that there's a bit of timing applied onto it, and you'll see why
Mm.
in a minute. So, Dennis, what do you think is missing here?
Uh, just the squash and stretch bit, because this feels like it's hovering. It's like it's on a magnetic plate, and then they are just hovering on top. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it feels like it needs a squash and stretch, right?
Yeah.
So when it's here, so I usually like to start with like the squash, because that tells me like how maybe rigid or flexible the ball is. Um, Mobeza raised a hand, so there's probably another question over there. Can check it out.
Um. Yeah. But this one's more of. They are not directly related in that
Ah,
area.
okay, we shall
Yeah.
revisit later. It's
Yeah.
okay.
We'll be able to visit them later.
Yeah, so I'll stretch this and squash it.
That is for Robert and John Mark. So we'll get to your questions.
Okay, that should be
Maybe Isaac, you would specify when you meant what software are you use? Okay, what software did you use for that? I'm not sure what you meant exactly. For what exactly? Which part?
but so
But
far,
I've
so far,
answered both. The softwares that we have used so far is Photoshop and ToonBoom.
okay, yeah, industry standards.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but there's so many software out there. The software is just a tool, if I should just mention. Um, Somebody was telling me the difference, like there's this question that beginners especially struggle with. What's the best software to use? It's like asking an artist, what's the best pencil to use to draw your portraits? That tool is irrelevant. He can draw an amazing portrait on a HB pencil, on even a pen, a biro, Bic, or whatever pen, even charcoal. The medium doesn't necessarily affect the output of the work. It's the skill that's important, because most of this, just like this, the medium, the pencil, the charcoal, it's something you use to transfer your skill, right? So they generally work the same. So even softwares work the same. Photoshop, it has layers, it has brushes, pencil, paint, color, all these things. There's so many software out there for drawing. There's Clip Studio, my personal favorite, just because it understands me. But
Hmm.
the point is, um, there's so many. There's SketchUp, there's Krita, which is open source, Paint Tool, Sai. This one has a weird name. I don't know, Danish, if you've heard of this. Fire Alapaka.
What? What pack?
Yeah, yeah. It kind of
No
looks like
idea.
Krita in a way, but it has a weird name. Fire Alapaka. Alapaka
Uh-huh.
is like a mythical creature or something. I don't know. It's weird. Like there's so many, and then there's infinite canvas. Like it has no definite resolution. You can keep drawing forever. Like never. It doesn't have borders. So you can have like very deep canvases. It's really interesting. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, but they generally do the same. It has a brush for drawing. It has a pencil. It has layers. So yeah, you can't really say that this software is best for drawing because they work the same. It's a tool. How you use it. So basically, it's the person using the tool that determines the output. So software are the same. Cool. So what else?
Even using a biro is fine.
I mean, yeah.
You
I
know.
mean, so the question would be like, what's your favorite pencil?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nataraj.
Natraj, is it Natraj or the other one? The old one that used to have the rubber on top with
The
the
yellow
funny
one or
drawings.
the white one with rabbits drawn on it.
Yeah, with the rabbits on around it. Yeah.
I hated they used to break, like you
It's to
sharpen.
break, I know.
Mm, hated those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's this yellow, like the expensive ones. Only certain people
Oh.
would
Mm-hmm.
get
With
used to.
these ones, you'd find them in carpeted sets.
Yeah, mm, yeah, Oxford.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, so we're trying to put some stretch into this, and then we'll show how this applies onto the character. But actually, um, I'll just leave it as it is, just to show the difference. Okay, now it looks weird. What does this look like? I don't know. A balloon with water?
It feels like a water, like a hovering water drop. I'm not sure whether I'm going to splash or I'm going to go back as a drop. It's somewhere there.
Yeah, okay. Let me just. I wasn't planning on fixing it too much, but I'll probably just maybe fix this a bit, then copy this frame here so that it's not so bad anymore. Yeah, okay. Now
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's better and a bit more squishy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you transfer these principles that we've learned from just a simple bouncing ball into a character? Hmm. So this is what we do. So I was sketching something. I don't know if it's visible here of this amazing character. Where's the opacity on this thing? Advanced 16. Wow, 1600. I don't know if it's somehow clear on this part. So there's this kind of character sketched quickly for this example. And then just as this ball is bouncing, we're trying to make her jump up and down. And then we'll see how these principles of animation apply to the character. So we have that. Dum, 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 dum. So I'll hide the ball, and then you can see, change this color. I don't know if it's coming through clearly. Should I make it red or black? Uh,
Mm.
is it clear for
Yeah, I
you?
can see.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Where's the other ball?
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So as you can see, I'm using the same principles of the of animation in the bouncing ball to use it in the character. So uh, when the ball is going down, it usually stretches. So where's the squish animation? It's here. Okay. Let me just hide this. So while the ball is going down, if we stretch it a bit, it looks more interesting suddenly because of weight. And this should go on up to somewhere here and then stretch again. Nope, it's too soon. Yeah, actually, perfect example.
So this is what happens when people are actually making animation, like with the Samurai Jack and all that, the current cartoons,
Yeah,
they'd have to use all these principles together.
yeah, exactly. You wield them, like some avatar of some sort.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So if you're able to animate a
Ah,
simple ball bounce, the same principle, like that stretch when it's going down because of gravity, weight, all those physical characteristics of the ball, you apply them on the character because the ball probably exists in the same universe as the character. It's the same gravity acting on the ball works on the character. So weight will also work with the character, right?
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
um, and then you simplify your character to basics so that you're able to like animate properly. So as you can see, I'm just trying to simplify the shapes. The head is simply, so ellipse kind of thing. It's the hair, I've simplified it to like blobs because this is what I'm going for, but how do I break this down into something simple to animate? So you just use shapes because it's
Oh
easier to
wow.
animate shapes. And then after that, this is the sketch stage for drawing. And then after that, you do cleanup and then color and then polish. So cleanup has better refined animation and stuff. Yeah. So there's the ball bounce like this. So she's bouncing like that. And these are just keyframes. It's not refined yet or
Mm-hmm.
interpolated. And then now
Yeah,
there's
yeah, true.
the dress. Oh wait, I wanted to focus on what principle here. So here there's a stretch. I don't know if you can see the difference with the especially with the
Mm.
feet. Just to emphasize, even the face, it's kind of elongating a bit
Elongated, yeah.
as she's going down because of weight to show like gravity has really like pulled her down, right? So um, when she makes first contact on the ground, you have to acknowledge that contact pose because of the different forces acting. Like she's being pulled down, but then she meets resistance on the ground. So you have to acknowledge that pose. And as you can see, she's starting to squish. That is squash, right? And what the legs do, they stretch. So you can see it's like a spring kind of movement. It's just the same like the ball. As it goes down, it squishes outwards, right? So there's that one. And then because of energy and follow through, oh yeah, now you can actually show the other um,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
principles, right?
Yeah, principle, yeah.
But it should also be clear, especially with the clothes, once we kind of animate the clothes. So um, look at the hands because they're going to react to the movement. So follow through and overlapping action. So this usually helps to give the impression that characters follow the laws of physics, including inertia. So loosely tied parts of the body continue moving after the character has stopped, and the parts should keep moving beyond the point where the character has stopped. So loosely attached parts, so hands, they're only like fixed on the shoulder, so they're pretty loose and they can move in different ways. So they'll keep moving even when because of physics, the law of inertia, things keep moving. I think that was yeah, I think my physics teacher would be proud of me right now. I, I remember the Newton's first law of motion. Things keep
Yeah,
moving unless a force is applied to stop
equal
movement.
opposite, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Um,
Yeah.
so Bridget is asking whether when you're doing such drawings, whether you need to always have your reference with you to
Um,
for capturing the movements.
okay. As in the character reference or just the pose acting reference?
Wait, I'm not sure whether this was a comment or a question. Well, she says for the character, it's best working with a reference so that you can capture the perfect body movements.
Ah, okay. Yeah, exactly. So it's good to use references because, as we mentioned, animation is a caricature of life. So we're basically observing real life and then taking those nuances in real life and applying them in the animation. So yes, an animated character can walk, but I mean, we see people walking all the time. But how do we make that interesting? That's where animation comes in. So that work cycle, you exaggerate it. You use these principles, put in a certain bounce, some swag into it, and make it interesting. That's what animation is about. So yes, you take reference from ordinary, mundane things in life, or not necessarily mundane, but real life um, video reference or footage, and then use that to build on, not trace, but to build on your animations to make it interesting. Yeah, so if it's
Mhm.
somebody jumping like this character of us, maybe I could have jumped, but I'm not gonna do that. Yeah. um,
And I
yeah,
think also for in this particular example, we are trying to show how the principles of animations are being applied on a bouncing ball can be applied with a character
yeah,
for
exactly.
what it is. Yeah. So this is
Mm,
more of an example to show you the correlation between the principles and actual animation.
yeah, exactly. Cool. Awesome. Good comment. Um, yeah, so the hands will move because of this follow through and overlapping action. Oh yeah, so we mentioned follow through, which is like the loosely attached parts will continue moving even after the main uh, body has stopped. So overlapping action is, the tendency for parts of the body to move at different rates just because of like mass. Like something heavier will be maybe slightly slower than something lighter, something like that. It just feels the same. Like hands and feet when you're walking doesn't necessarily, they don't all move at the same pace. One slightly lags behind a bit, which actually moves me to the other point related to this principle of follow through and overlapping action. There's something called drag. So this is where like a part takes a few seconds or frames to catch up to the rest of the movement. This is usually seen, especially with uh, inanimate objects. It could be clothes, which we'll see shortly, hair, especially like if the lady from the salon is like, I don't know, uh, what's that machine called? Like hair, I don't
The
know.
dry or something.
Yeah, so like the hair is full and bouncy. So if they're walking, it usually kind of just flutters in the air like
Yeah.
this. So that's a good example of drag. Observation. Difference. What's the difference of observation and stalking? I don't know. Can
Observation and
stalking. I can see in the call. Oh wow.
they're all for
Sorry, I just
learning, but for different purposes.
my
It's
speaker
what
is
you
out
do
of
with the
charge. I
information.
can't hear what you're saying. Let me just connect that quickly. Forgot to plug it in when we started. Just give me a second.
Yeah. So someone is also asking, like Fred is asking, when are you sketching the character
Connected.
again for the squash or any
Yeah.
other principle, or are you using the
Okay.
software to do that?
Just use headphone
So this
instead.
part, there are two parts. So for the bouncing ball, no,
9 seconds.
yes, he wasn't having to. He didn't keep on redrawing it. You just take the key moments of action and then be able to stretch it out yourself or squish it down yourself. But now for the character, the lady that one he redrew, the character that you're seeing currently. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I think I missed that one, but I think you covered it. Um, cool. So now we get to the other principles of animation with like the clothes, the dress, because she has a nice dress over here. How does that behave when like she's jumping up and down? So just observe.
Oh, that looks nice. Like a jellyfish.
Okay, exactly. I like that example. You see, observation. You're an animator, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, these things, as in, they're really good animators. They have to be observant. Just look at real life things and see how you can apply that into your animations, and then it's going to be interesting. Okay, to be honest, if this was a real person jumping and wearing a dress, it probably doesn't move like this. But you'd agree with me, this is exciting to look at. Like, it looks nice, right?
Yeah, but that's one of the principles. Like you're exaggerating some of these movements.
Yeah. Um, so I'm just trying to make this color a bit more visible. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Yeah. So if I just play this slow, actually, if I reduce frame rate to like 12, should be okay for slow motion. So I've reduced the frame rate, so just so that you can see all the key drawings and how the principles are working in this um, example. So you can see how the drag is working, how the follow through is working with the dress. It continues to move, especially when, so here she kind of stopped moving. She's made contact with the ground, but the clothes, the dress is still sort of just animating on its own. You see, she barely moved here, but the dress is just everywhere, just moving. So that's what follow through and overlapping action is all about, and drag. Yeah. So
Hmm.
do, yeah, go back to 25 PS because this looks weird. Yeah, and basically that's how you use the principles of animation. I think we're way over time.
Yeah, we're getting to the end, almost at the end, so that we can
Yeah,
start. We remain with any other principles? Let me see.
I think we've covered. We've done timing with the bouncing ball, exaggeration. Um, Maybe I can just go over exaggeration is the effect that spices up animation. I think we covered that, especially with the dress. We exaggerated the movement to make it look interesting. It probably doesn't look like this in real life, but we just made it look interesting. Um, a common example of exaggeration is like especially in the Tex Avery cartoons, Quincy, Fred Quimby, Tom and Jerry. There's this effect where cartoons drop their jaws because of seeing, I don't know, could be a beautiful woman, or they're shocked beyond belief. Then the jaw drops to the ground, and it's actually, I think it's an English expression. So yeah, that's an example of exaggeration. It's a classic example. So it just makes cartoons to be less dull and interesting to look at. Um, Maybe closely related to exaggeration is the principle of appeal. Appeal is all about generating interest with the audience. So you agree with me that suddenly, just by adding the dress and making it flow in a very fluid movement, like a jellyfish, they're very interesting to look at when they're moving. It's mesmerizing. I like to watch this nature channels sometimes, just to observe, especially animals, creatures in the sea. They're always mesmerizing. So if you look at how a jellyfish moves, you can pick that up and maybe use it in animation like we've done now.
Mm,
Yeah, so I think with this example, we just covered pretty much all the principles of animation.
principles.
Like if you even look at the hair, these circle things of the hair, we've simplified this hairstyle to make it these circles. And then you notice the drag and follow through, especially when she's going down, how it's stretching over here. It's just like the ball when it was bouncing, when it's going down. And then obviously it's going to squash a bit and then back to normal size. Especially here, stretches again and pulls down. So yeah,
Okay.
that's
So
pretty much the principles of animation from this simple, boring. Let me just frame this properly. Yeah, from simple ball bounce to interesting. Where is this interesting ball? Mhm. Disappeared. Oh, it's hidden. Okay. Yeah. From A over here, which is boring, and then suddenly, if you can animate a ball properly with all the principles of animation, then you should be able to transfer that uh, information into pretty much any moving character, like
mhm,
this, for
mhm.
example. Yeah, because of time I didn't manage to like clean it up and make it look like a proper animated. But moving on from this stage, it wouldn't be like very difficult to do. So I think just for demonstration purposes, I can just clean up one drawing. Let me start with this one, just to show probably how I go about it, but it's really not necessary. So I created a new layer just as we did in Photoshop, and then you just draw following what's here. And you can see now, because you've already done all the sketchy and non-serious work in the drawing, I don't have to worry about making it look, I don't know, clean and amazing. Because now I'm basically just tracing and it becomes easier to clean up. I can work like really fast. This is me drawing like right now in real time. So no pressure, but it's okay.
Yeah, actually, Robert had asked, how do you draw on ToonBoom or do you draw in Photoshop, then import the Photoshop layers
Yeah,
into ToonBoom?
well, it depends on what you're doing. If it's a simple animation like this, just like 40, about 40 frames, I just draw in ToonBoom. This just sketch it out first to the end, and then just clean up. It becomes a bit easier. There's this drawing mode for like serious focus drawing. It looks like paper and it's clean and everything.
Mhm.
With the drawing view, you can uh, put things like a light table for you to see like what's underneath and the likes. But I just like to work in the camera view because yeah, well, it's easier, I guess. Um, it, for something like this that looks very mirrored, you can draw one side and flip, copy paste, flip to the other side. But I'm not a fan of doing that because there's something we should avoid doing, and that's actually, yeah, the principle for animation called solid drawings. I think the 11th principle it's called solid drawing. This is where you apply the forms, the perspective, the anatomy, and make the drawings look okay. So we know like it's not good to make a twinned pose like an exact copy of of one side to the other side because that usually looks boring and it's not very interesting to look at. It's like your characters are always like standing like soldiers standing alert and at attention, so it's not very appealing to look at. So it's something you just avoid to do. So ToonBoom has nice tools like this cutter I'm using to clean up. Mhm. I go to drawing view, it tells me which parts. Yeah, okay, like this. So now it's the head. Do you have any other questions so far?
Yeah. So another one is, yeah, how come?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm just going to read it. People, I just wanted to say that what pushes people to say, um, I think the accentuating of people being thin. I think this is from what you were mentioning before when you're doing the character design, when you're showing the Photoshop part. And yeah, why is it that most of the characters always look Caucasian, that is most drawing books give tutorials on drawing Caucasian characters, and they don't have an African face. They don't have, the facial features that depict, our broad noses, our full lips and
Yeah,
stuff,
really.
big eyes. So they don't do that.
I
So
don't know.
it's
There's like a bittersweet to that. Like that's what I was asking earlier. What's really African, you know? So the reason for that, it could be most of those people doing those tutorials, they don't know any better. They've probably never been to Africa. They don't know how, Africans look like. That's why it's important for us to, as um, animators in the industry, to to cover that niche and represent us properly. Like I just said, I don't know, broad noses and stuff. I don't know. There's some people you would say that they will be offended because we have diversity. There's some people like they're very pretty. Others, well, yeah, we have a wide um, range, and that's why we need more animators to put out work that says no, we don't all have like big lips. For example, if this character, if I decided, so that would mean that to make her African, she probably have lips like this, right? Then suddenly, I don't know, now she's African, right? That's what he's trying to mean. But
mm,
no, not all, especially so let's say this is like a girl about 5 years old, I guess, 10. Yeah, not all of them have big lips like this. You have nephews, I mean nieces, sisters. Not all of them look like this. We have diversity, but we need to the um, put our work out there to show it, right? And have proper representation. So why this looks acceptable right now is because this is what we've been already been accustomed to seeing on TV. Anytime they're doing an African character, we'll be like, give them big lips and a big nose. Actually, let's do big nose. And then suddenly it starts to feel right because that's what we are used to seeing, like this, right?
yeah,
Is
exactly.
your African character, but
Ah, yeah, she
no,
looks a bit more African, but now look at even the hair.
really. But yeah, we need more representation into it. Uh,
hmm But
into
anyway,
it.
I guess the basic idea, even when you're reading those books, is to get the basic idea of how to draw and how to color. And then from there, it's an experiment for you for the kind of character combination that you want to have so that it works for your character. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Find out
Because
the things that you. Sorry, just go on.
it's not necessarily that you'll always get what you want,
Mm,
especially when it comes to the tutorials that you're watching or things that you're looking on YouTube. Even when I'm trying to learn a different new principle, a new direction of something, I always never have
mm,
that. You find that you need to get something from this person, that person, then uniquely combine them, and then now you can be able to do that unique thing together.
yeah. Mm, cool. So just quickly color this. I give her like a orange, yellow. No, yellow. Girls don't do orange, do they? No. Wait, this is the
So
outline. Oh, it's not applied to anything at the moment. So I'll select this and apply this color for the outline. Yes, okay. And then I'll fill the dress with like paint. Paint and painted, yes. Wow, black. Okay, I know why. Because we need to select a proper color. Uh, or we go with the stereotype pink. No, do yellow. Yellow. Yellow
the
is
yellow is fine.
nice
Yeah.
with maybe like a black, like a bee. No, I don't want to do that. So I'll make
And then
this probably orange, I guess. Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I guess her outline on her dress it kind of disappears.
Yeah, I
'Cause-
because of I paint there are different tools for like painting. So this one like will paint anything on top. I should have
Ah,
selected the paint and painted one so that it kind of stays away from uh, the outlines. So yeah,
okay, cool.
crunch time, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
Skin color. This is also another topic.
She's
I
a
don't know.
Martian. She's a Martian.
I mean, this is the power of ToonBoom. Like you can
Oh
color
wow.
with anything and then just pick the color that you want. So if you put your work up there, and
Oh,
then the advantage of ToonBoom is like you can have like a tint palette. So like if a character walks from a lit area with sunlight and then they walk into a dark area, room, whatever, you can create a new palette. You can duplicate the same palette and then right click and tint. You see, there's this option at the bottom that says tint panel. So it basically just tints your colors, that the existing colors, to either bright or dark, and it just looks nice.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, we can choose whatever color that we want for the skin.
it saves
Uh,
a lot of time too.
or we need to see more black characters.
Ah, gosh, we're not black like that, but
I
put a bit of
mean,
brown there.
we okay.
I mean, that's the melanin anyway. Oh, you
But
put, we
who's
want to put
who's to
navy
say?
blue.
Like we have
We want to
variety. We
put
have
navy blue.
or purple. Yeah, I'll leave it at purple. Whoever has a problem can't fight me.
Okay, yeah, she's an alien.
Yeah. So and then there's this for the hair. Hair can be what proper. Yeah, I think that's fine. That looks weird enough. Lips, you can make pink. Uh, this is the part about animation that makes things interesting. Like you can do whatever you want. If somebody
Yeah,
has
it
a
looks
problem,
fun.
then um, yeah, because why not? Could be a mask actually. Let's see how it looks on the render view. Good enough. If I had this other sketch and the dress, yeah. So this is how it looks like when it's rendered. And then we have eyes. Eyes green maybe? No, too much. That would be too scary.
Green
Looks
no, 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 no.
there,
Okay,
there, there are limits.
that's
There are
yeah,
limits.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I get you. I get you. Paint and painted. Yeah. So suddenly we have, oh yeah, there was this part for the dress. Mm-hmm. It's bothering me by the way. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just redraw it because it's easier that way. And if we can choose to have details if you want, those creases, whatever, however you want to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And then because she's African, apparently we need to put these patterns for some reason. I don't understand it, but it's okay. That's what we've been led to
Where
believe.
that now you've
Oh,
just sold it. This one is from an African continent.
no, see, all
Hey,
our dress, all our clothes, we don't have Fubu and Nikes. We only have Kitenges and patterns. You see, like
exactly.
what I'm wearing right now, it has patterns.
Yeah.
Because I'm African. Who am I? What am I? What is African really?
Yeah. So, so there is also a question about
Mm.
hey, this one I left it for the last bit by John Mark. This is how
Wow.
do you know pricing from concept art, environment design, character design, rigging, and animation?
I need to take a sip for that one.
I know. I know. I know.
Pricing. Well, pricing. Do you wanna answer first, or I just go?
I can, yeah, I can go ahead.
Sure.
So whenever you're dealing with pricing, the first thing is that you need to understand the scope of the work that you have. That is, how big your project is. You don't know uh, how many, for example, if you're doing an animation with different environments, probably it's teaching kids about different parts of the world. Then basically it means if you're going to Egypt, if you're going to South Africa, if you're going to, Mount Kenya or Mount Everest or Australia, you have to you have to make all those character environments together. If you're doing your characters, how many characters are you doing? How many variations of those characters can you be able to make? So that just defines the scope of the work that you need first. And then the next thing is you need to consider who is your client, who is your audience. Okay, two things: you need to consider your client and who your audience is. The client, because for one, there are some clients who may be very particular and may, they have a big brand surrounding what they're doing or the kind of campaign that they're having. That may be able to be something you may have to look at in terms of the pricing, because how you would price an animation that is only going to be used for a TV channel here is not the same way you'd charge an animation that's going to go around the world. Because you have a larger target audience, you have more people to think about, the African lips, the kind of artwork that you need to have, and the kind of appeal. And we don't, you would need to really study what best way can there be about it. And then also, the kind of animation work that you're doing. Are you doing 2D animation? Are you doing 3D animation? And if you're doing 2D animation, which kind of 2D animation are you doing? Are you doing the traditional, like what Shadrack is doing, drawing each and every frame? Are you doing cutout? Are you doing stop motion? No, sorry. Yeah. Actually, you can even still do stop motion in kind of like 2D, but that's a loose canon. So leave that for now. Um, so you'd have to know specifically the kind of animation that you're using, and you're getting into. Uh, yes, add on to that, Shadrack.
Actually, I think you've covered the main points about pricing, because it's usually you understand the scope of work and also like the time that you're going to invest onto that project, I guess. So I don't want to sound very repetitive, but yeah, you've covered it pretty well actually. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, that's my final piece. I think I'll just save this and jump
Okay.
into Q&As. Are there any like technical questions? No?
Uh, Technical questions? No. Oh, okay. One. What is the minimum size of a drawing tablet you would recommend?
Large.
Large. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
large.
A4
Okay,
size.
my personal recommendation will be the Huion Q620M. It's about
Uh,
10K. Yeah,
uh,
that's what I'd recommend. It's awesome for a beginner. But if you can afford the drawing, they released like a 13-inch screen tablet. It's like 25, 30K plus taxes and stuff. Yeah, but if you can buy that one as opposed to buying like a Intuos or something, yeah, even better. You get to draw on the screen. So yeah,
mm. So you said the Huion Q620M.
yeah.
Okay. That's a large version.
Yeah, that's the it's not cumbersome. There's a bigger one than that, but I don't know, personal preference. I find those really big ones to be cumbersome. Like how do you place them on the desk? It's too much. But this one is almost the size of a ruler, I think. The drawing area is like A4, which is decent. You can place it in any corner and draw easily. So as long as it's a large one, it's fine.
What was the other one? There's something else that you had mentioned about the one with the screen.
It's called the canvas. Canvas, Huion Canvas Pro. So they're different. There's a 13-inch, there's 16-inch, uh, yeah, and then the desktop version, which is similar to what I'm using, a 22-inch screen. But the desktop one is not mobile, like it has to be on the desk. But the other version, the 16 Pro and the 13 Pro, they are portable. You can, and very light and thin. It feels like carrying an iPad Pro. So you can pretty much draw from anywhere. That's safe.
Mm, okay.
Yeah,
So, and I'm guessing this the canvas would be somebody who's really invested into wanting to delve into animation completely, because
yeah,
it is a bit
and
of
even
a
drawing. Yeah, and
and
also
drawing,
drawing.
yeah.
Yeah. But the canvas, the 13 is like 20K. The 16, there are two versions. There's a Pro and the other. Just get the Pro. It's like 30K. So it's not so expensive considering the alternatives. Like, alternatives are in the $2,000 category. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The other one was where can we find amazing quality animations from Africa? This is Cynthia, because she says she's only seen a few from the searches that she's done. She wants an inspiration of animations from Africa. That would be great.
I don't know. I used to know someone from Association of Animation Artists, Kenya.
Oh wow,
I
Shadrack.
feel like you should answer this question.
Okay, let's have a
Guys, Dennis
okay. So
Dennis
yeah,
is from the A3K. Okay, I always mess up that name. A3
A3K.
Kenya. Yeah, so it's an association for artists in Kenya, animation artists specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just in Kenya alone, I think they're the ones responsible. So maybe you can tell us about that, how the Kenyan space is, and then maybe I can talk about
Yeah.
like in
So
Africa to answer the question.
yeah. So the Association of Animation Artists Kenya, we usually curate some of this content that are done within Kenya itself. So we do have several, like about almost 4 to 5 hours of content of animated and Kenyan animated content, not leave alone Africa, Kenyan animated content. Um, and there are also some other associations that we are trying to work with, such that we may be able to curate some of the material that they have to be able to avail it for people to be able to see. So one of the places you can find the animations from Africa, most of the time you'd find them in Nigeria and South Africa. You'd get some good additional good animations. For ourselves, we will be at some point we will be hosting a watch party for some of the curated animation content that we do have. But so just probably follow the page on Facebook, the Association of Animation Artists Kenya.
Mhm. Is there like a subscription fee or something?
At the moment, we've allowed some people to join in as long as animators, so that you may be able to connect with other animators together.
Okay.
Yeah, so that
That's fun.
we can be together during this time.
Okay. I
Yeah,
appreciate it very much. Thank you.
yeah.
Far too kind.
Um, Very
Yeah.
welcome. So make sure you take advantage of this. For any of you who are animators, there are other additional people there. Others are professional, others are newbies, others in the middle. So we're all trying to learn from one another. Oh, Shadrack, that's so
Hmm.
cool. Looks really good.
What?
What you've done, like
Mhm.
from the sketch to the animated sketch, and then how the final look would look like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, that looks really dope.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I think we've answered all the questions. So I think so. I'll launch a poll for those of you guys who are there, because some of you are asking, "Hey, can we be able to see some of introduction to these interfaces and all?" So I have just launched a poll where you can just quickly rate today's seminar. You should be able to see it on your screen right now. So you can be able to tell us what you think, and what probably the next uh, webinar would be about. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome.
hmm So wait, I think there was someone who had asked. I don't know, Shadrack, where else have you interacted with African animation or animators
Yeah.
from Africa?
Well, so now there's a global event called the DISCOP, which is like um, a market for animators, generally entertainment producers. That's film, TV, animation. So that's they usually have a call for entries. It's like a competition where you get to compete with fellow animators to pitch a show or a concept idea, and then the winner gets to go to um, ANSI. ANSI is also another global market for, especially for animation, where executives from places like Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Canal Plus, they're all there looking for the next big thing. So usually through the Nikon event, that's where the Discord markets usually has this event. So Nikon usually happens around August, I think. But so what you can do, you can follow the African Animation Network, AAN, which usually has news about, well, animation in Africa, the dates and timelines of when the next Discord event will happen, and rules for entry, things like that. So you can be updated about what's happening in and around animation in Africa, um, get updates on like upcoming opportunities. Like recently, Netflix was calling for content creators from Africa. Netflix. Yeah, so if you didn't know about that, well, now you know. So there's a lot of opportunity looking our way. Actually, this year was meant to be the focus for animation was supposed to be in Africa. They're looking for content from Africa. So basically, this is the right time for us to be making our image, shouting what Africa looks like. If it's this pink, purple characters, so be it. So be it. Yeah, fortunately or unfortunately, because of the quarantine, we've been forced, the NEC market has been sort of postponed. So we have like a second chance to work and make things look interesting so that next year, well, when they host the event again, oh yeah, it's going to be live, yes, but the call will still be open next year. So from now till that time, let's work on those animated shots and be there when they're looking. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, true. Because it's really important for us to do this, because it's the only way we can be able to interact with everyone around us.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't, well, we miss out on an opportunity where we can be able to learn from one another and to be able to showcase our talents and our abilities. I
Yeah.
think it's also good for us to tell them about the uh, what is it called? The incubator, the Createch
The
incubator.
Critech incubator. Yeah. So well, that one was for, well, it's under ADMI Studios for helping content creators to develop their shows and be able to market it and fill this content gap that is uh, open right now. So it's something that's been that launched, I think, the beginning of this year, and it's going to be um, announced, especially when the next call is ready. So maybe you should just keep watching social media, maybe, or even the website to see when the next call will be. Wow, talk too
Yeah,
much.
because it would be an important especially for those animators who had something that they had in mind. They wanted to do some animations, but you don't have the time, or you felt the skill set is not up to par. Then you can be able to come on board for it, and you'll be given some bit of guidance to work even with your team.
Yeah.
You have one together and be able to finalize finalize your product. Shadrack, your
Yep.
background, that it's really cool.
Ah, okay. Oh, my
Tell me
shed.
about it, like.
Yeah, I live in a 2D world. Well, so this was part of a project that I was working on that I preached at Disco. It's called Nini. It's an animated show for kids 5 to 7 years old. So this is a background that we worked together, collaborated with an artist called Sanari, Kevin. He's really amazing. So he basically sketched like the idea that I have, but because I feel like he has a very interesting way of doing color, and he's just amazing. So I asked him, commissioned him to develop the backgrounds for me, and he did an amazing work. So yeah, so that's what this is about. That's why I'm always proud to show it, whatever opportunity I get, because when you think about the shows that we see, they talk about children having or playing in their garage, but how many of us have a garage in in Africa, in our moderately sized, are they apartments or houses? Yes. So this is what I thought would be an African garage per se, what they would call a shed. So if you get to see things that we're familiar with, like, I don't know, granary, wheelbarrows, scarecrow, a box that may be used in high school or something like that. Those paraffin lamps, things that we can actually relate to. That's what I feel like has been missing. And so the show I've been working on is very much grounded in like African setting. I don't know. Do you have time for me to show like an image or two? No? Yeah. Hello? Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's what the
Oh, sorry, I was saying, yes, it is. It would be a great opportunity for Cynthia to actually even get to see what African inspired work is. I mean, look at that. And these are things that you'd typically find within a shed, within
an
our homeland,
African.
within Africa. Yeah, with the mabati. I like the with the. I loved seeing those mabati holes, like, and the light seeking through.
Yeah, and so it kind of gives like a rim light. Although I have a new light here. That's yeah. So it makes me feel like I live in this world and I feel good about it.
Yes, you do. It looks
Yeah,
good.
so I just wanted to share one more image, if you allow me, that shows um, one of the backgrounds for the show.
Wow,
Um,
gosh, that just
yeah,
reminded me of Shags, dude.
exact. So that's the exact feeling I want people to have, because it's like all the African towns, the local towns, up country, they kind of look like this. I don't know. It's like they all use the same template for some reason.
Hmm.
Everywhere, like there's always this car shop, and then like a town center kind of place, you know, and like a filling station, a worn out vehicle, something like this. Yeah. So yeah, again, this was uh, sketched by me, then finalized by Kevin Sanari. Amazing artist, dope. It's like amazing. And then there's this. You remember this matatus?
Yes, face me.
Exactly. Well, it kind of uh, tells your age, but most the younger people they have no idea what this is. Yeah. So moving on quickly before they can do research.
Hmm, they
They'll,
can.
they'll research what a face me is. Uh,
Yes.
yeah,
That one they can be able to explore.
yeah. And then so this is the main character, although her design has changed over time. So uh, yeah, so over time we won't be able. This won't be the final look, but this at the time when I was pitching, this is what I thought would be the story. Like she was able to talk
Appealing.
to characters in her imagination and stuff. So right now she's talking to this ant commander who are going into war, and she's like, "You don't have to fight. Let's be friends and work together and build this castle." Something like that. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's that. Like, yeah, if you don't feel like calling your grandma
Oh.
right now, so this is what I wanted with the show to you immediately connect and relate to it. So if I put the character in this particular background, you feel like, home. It just calls home, right? That's what I wanted because we don't see this in TV. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the name? Was it Cynthia or she was asking where to see work? So we are
Cynthia.
working on it. We're working on it. Eventually, yeah. So this is the front of the house. Oh, this is the backyard, like at the back. You can see the house is over here in the middle, this one. So at the back, this is how it looks like. This is the front. This is the front. And the tractor, the character's dad is a farmer, so he has this tractor. It's awesome,
This is
awesome.
really dope.
Um, yeah. So Sanare you can find him on Facebook as
I've
Sanare
shared his
Limited.
link.
Or you have
Yeah.
like to everyone or
To everyone.
oh cool. Yeah. So you can follow him. He's really cool and he's very reachable and approachable. So like if you're just starting out, just ask him, hey, I like your work. Help me improve. What can I do to make this better? Same here. I can check out mine also, shadrackmunene.com for some of the works that I've done. But yeah, I'm also approachable, I think. So yeah, if you need help with your studies or animation journey, reach out. Cool. I think
All right.
that's it
And
for
I guess you can call that a wrap. Yeah. Martin is really happy. Said thank you.
Karibu
Yeah.
Karibu Martin. Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
the classes are also fun. They're still ongoing online. So yeah, maybe we'll get to see the intake is coming up. I think it's in July, right? For the Rubik animation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's in July. Yeah.
no, but intake is ongoing, I think. Starts
It's
May.
ongoing even right now. So they can
Yes.
actually log on to admi.ac.ke.
Cool. Yeah. Also, if like they have a question about things like fees, duration of the course, I think when you're at admi.ac.ke, the website, just write an email. Somebody will respond very promptly. So we have a very active people in at ADMI. So reach out,
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
out what you need to get started in animation at ADMI.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
cool. So
Thanks, Dennis, man. You've been an awesome host. Appreciate it. Hasn't been lonely and boring today. Appreciate it very much, man.
Karibu, welcome. Thank you for educating guys. That was really amazing. That was really cool.
Appreciate it.
And engaging with everyone. So it was fun. Thank you for being also a fun host. Yeah.
I try.
So
Thanks.
so yeah. So at least you guys have all had an idea of how um our classes are interesting, interactive, um, and fun. So Karibu sana, Robert. Thank you. And everyone else, thank you guys so much for attending. You can share the link. I'll share. There is a face for anyone wanted to get to see the YouTube video again. We'll share the link to it in case you needed to have a look, see at what we did, or want to share it with your friends. You can have a look at that. Yeah. Okay. Great. So thank you for all your questions. I hope you've did it to everyone, and thank you also for the questions. I hope you've answered them. This will help you give you direction in how to become an animator and where to even go to school, and some of the things that you can be able to do even as you're trying to practice from home for the before you enroll, what you can be able to do for the time. All right. So thank you very much.